on what was happening in the background that the administration knows, but just watching it, I thought it was very chaotic. For any U.S. citizens or green card holders who are stuck, their best option is to really go through a congressman's office. They actually have more connections and can be able to help facilitate an exit out. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything, right? It just because you have the Taliban blocking the roads to the airport and things like that. But from what I understand is that there is some sort of negotiations or some working deal where the Taliban is going to allow US citizens and green card holders to board planes. Now, how true that is on the ground, we all of us don't know that, you know. But if somebody is stuck, best option, congresspeople, senators, call them. They have different avenues that a normal person does not have, and I think that would be a good option to start with.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Then I hope all listeners will take notice of that. So for people who are working, like for example, the media industry, who always
Yeah.
have to travel, and like for example, people like in the Bollywood industry who have maybe have like contracts working in Hollywood or like different
Yeah.
countries, what would you advise for them to like to, in terms of getting a visa with a travel ban going on? Do you think it's reasonable for them to leave the country, or do you think right now they should just stay where they're at?
Number one, don't leave the country. If you're subject to the travel ban, stay put. I post this all the time on like LinkedIn and my message, different my social medias. Um, Unless you have a real emergency, and attending your cousin's wedding is not an emergency, just an FYI, um, don't travel. You're going to be subject to the ban, okay? Unless you can meet one of the exemptions. Now, some people easily can meet an exemption, but the issue sometimes is that even if you can meet the exemption requirements, like for example, if you have a U.S. Citizen child, right? Let's say someone's here on an H1 or an L1, but your children were born in the United States, you are exempt from the travel ban.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you don't have a visa, right? You've been here for 3 years, your visa expired, you have US citizen children, but you have to travel to India or you want to travel to India. The problem is, even if you meet that exemption, you don't have a visa. So now you have to get a visa appointment at a US consulate that is working at very limited capacity and get that visa issued in your passport. Now, right now, if you try to log in and try to get an appointment, I think you're looking at April 2022.
Oh wow.
Already. But I just have a question. One of the Garba artists is supposed to come from Mumbai. She
Yeah.
is a green card holder, but she is
Uh-huh.
there from last 2 years. So she's
Yeah.
asking, like, will she have any problem at the airport?
If they're a green card holder, like it depends on when they left
It's
the
2 years.
country. The green, so do they have a reentry permit?
No.
No. So then I would put that person on the plane. I would I would let them take the shot. As long as they're prepared and really ready to get pulled out of the line. So what's going to happen, right? We've all flown, right? We come into the airport. Let's take JFK, Newark. You're going to go through immigration, right? There's a line for US citizens and green card holders. There's a line for everybody else, right? If you're a green card holder, you're going to go through that US citizen line. They're going to scan the barcode of your passport. They're going to see when you left the country last time. And then he's going to ask you, where's your reentry permit? And you're going to say, I don't have one. And then they're going to say, please take you out of the line. They're going to take you to another room, which is called secondary inspection.
Okay.
Okay. In that room, they're going to ask you, why didn't you come back for 2 years? And so now this person has like the opportunity to present their case.
Yes.
So at that time, your green card holder will have to say, listen, I was stuck. I couldn't get out because there was no flights. There was, COVID, whatever the actual reasons are, they're going to have some paperwork and have to present that case to the officer. Most of the time, that officer should, if they're not jerks, and you can't bet that they're not, should let them through. Okay. But again, time matters. How much time were you out? Now, if somebody's out 4 years pre-COVID, what are you going to say?
Doesn't make sense. No,
It doesn't
absolutely
make
right.
sense, right? So yes, if your Gerba person is, a green card holder, they are not subject to the travel ban. But if they've been out past that 1 year without the reentry permit, they have to be prepared to explain why.
Okay, so that explanation means a lot, and maybe they will be allowed. They should take a chance
Yeah.
because
They,
their mother is also coming, and she's very old. So of
mhm.
course, I think so. It's genuine reason that they cannot bring her in the country. Of course, yes, during COVID, nobody is traveling.
Yeah.
Of
But
course.
again, you got to make it more like, why did the green card holder was unable to come? It's not that, oh, I had to take care of my sick mother. That's not going to be the reason.
Yeah.
What prevented you from physically getting on a plane and coming back in?
Gotcha.
So that's
Okay.
how they have to talk.
Okay, and one more question I have from our viewers. Her mother is having 10 years visitor visa. If she come
Mhm.
here and apply for green card, will it be a better procedure for her? What?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say the reason is, um, one is when you apply for a green card you can apply from the consulate, right? First of all, the processing is long, but the consulate is basically closed, right? I mean, they're working, but it is very limited capacity. And now they are also working to clear up almost a 2-year backlog, 18 months,
Oh,
working with little staff, not full staff, little time, and trying to clear up all of that. So if you wait to go and do it through the consulate, I'm going to bet 2.5 years, roughly.
okay.
Okay. Now, and some people want it that way. I have a lot of different kind of clients. I have clients who say, well, my mother doesn't want to come here and be stuck here. She will come when she actually gets the green card. So 2 years is okay. We're okay doing it during the consulate. I have other people who says my mother's very old or my father's very old, and we can't let them be alone for 2 more years like this. So they have this visa in their passport, the B1, B2 visa, and they want to come into the US. And once they come in, maybe we'll go in and apply, after, 2, 3 months if we decide we want to do something like that. And is that a better option? Yeah, maybe that works for your personal life because then the parents don't have to go back. It
Yeah.
all will depend on that personal circumstance.
So I had another question. Um,
Yep.
so people who are freshly applying to enter the United States and like first time and they haven't like done the process before,
Hmm.
like how would you recommend them to like go through that process? Like is there a specific like format you should like they should follow in terms of like for post COVID?
Meaning, well, I'm assuming, are you talking about if they're coming in a family-based category or an
No, no, like just
employee?
let's say they're applying for like a work visa.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, so if you're gonna like never been to the United States, right,
Mm-hmm.
ever, and you're got like your first time work visa, let's say an H-1B
Mm-hmm.
visa, which is the common work permit visa and stuff like that, I would hope your employer would talk to their attorney, like somebody like me, and then we would do a little call and prep you for the consulate interview if you got one, and kind of walk you through all kind of the routine questions they may ask and what you should pay attention to and stuff like that. That's kind of our normal protocol if we're going to be engaged for something like that. Sometimes the employer is pretty good and savvy, and even though it's this person's first time, they've done like hundreds, so they're pretty like routine about it. They know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on in different ways.
And like following up from our early question about like
Yeah.
if you have like older relatives that are in India and like they want to come, let's say they want to visit their grandchildren, is
Yeah.
there a specific type of visa do you feel they can get, or do you think that they would have to wait till after COVID is like the protocols are over for them to visit their grandchildren or their nieces and nephews?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, remember that right now, everyone from India is banned except for a few exceptions, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people who are US citizens or green card holders or, students, they're not banned right now and stuff like that. So anyone outside of that is subject to that travel ban.
Mm-hmm.
So if your grandparents are wanting to come and visit you, they first of all need to get a visa if they don't have one. And what kind of visa is it? It's that tourist visa. It's that B1, B2 visa. But the problem is that's not part of that list that says you are exempt from the travel ban. So are grandparents going to be coming anytime soon? No, they're not. What grandparents are doing, because they may need to come to the US for whatever reasons, is because they're not going to be, and they have the visa already issued on their passport. This is like they don't have to deal with the consulate. They're going to other countries and quarantining for 14 days and then coming from that country into the United States. So the Maldives, Mexico, I think Dubai just opened up for them and stuff. So they're going and staying there. Mexico is a big hub. Like there's a little neighborhoods now with Indian grandparents coming and staying, and there's Indian grocery stores, and there's like I think DoorDash or stuff like delivering Indian food and stuff. So there's a lot of that going on because they know they're never going to be able to make a pitch to the consulate and say, hey, I know I'm subject to that travel ban, but here's the reason I should be allowed into the United States. They're never going to get through, right? So they say, okay, forget dealing with the US consulate. We'll just bypass this and we'll go to Mexico. We'll take a 14-day holiday in Mexico. You know, it's expensive, and stuff, but that is a very common thing many of them are doing right now. So if your grandparents want to come visit you, that's what they're going to have to do.
Thank you. So going back to the situation in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
Would you advise the people there to maybe try to enter a different country, like instead of the United States, and then maybe end up here at some point, or would you say just wait and just hold on?
There's I mean, again, if they're US citizens and green card holders, sure, they can go to other countries that allow without a visa, right? Like so you can take a flight from if you can get a flight out. The problem is getting to that airport, right? From what we understand, right? You can't from the hotels or wherever to the road is where they're stopping them at the checkpoints. But yeah, if I'm in Afghanistan, I'm a US citizen, I get on a plane, I can go to London, right? If I can get a flight out. So that's okay. It's not about getting to the US, it's about the physical act of getting to the airport and getting on a plane without getting killed, is what I'm seeing in Afghanistan right now.
And like, do you believe this is just a situation that will be up for a while, or is this something that the government do you think is like working towards like fixing at the moment?
I think the government is trying to create a bubble, like the India air bubble and the flight bubbles. They're trying to create a little bit of a bubble, I think, for U.S. citizens and green card holders. But the Taliban has basically taken over at this point, and I don't see anything improving. I think whoever's out, you may have days at best to get out, and if not, you're stuck. And I think there are U.S. citizens and green card holders who voluntarily are staying there. They're not. It's not like whoever wanted to exit. I think most of them have exited at this point. And whoever's remaining are ones that they're not U.S. citizens and green card holders. They're Afghanis. They're the interpreters. They're the ones who helped, against ISIS or the Taliban and stuff like that. But they're Afghani nationals. They're not U.S. citizens and green card holders.
So we have a caller. I'm just taking one of the callers.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, you are live with Nandini. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Nandini. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir? How can I help you?
I'm doing good. Ma'am, I have a quick question about a friend, like a family friend,
Okay.
who is looking to come over from India.
Mm-hmm.
He has been traveling, to before COVID, obviously, not recently, to Europe and Canada, and now he's interested to come to US,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what do you recommend? Do you recommend applying for like a visitor visa, or do you recommend applying for some kind of like a work visa, or what do you recommend? What will be the best way for him to come over here?
Okay, well, I think it depends on what he wants to do here. If he's just coming here to visit, obviously the only visa that's available, like in tour, just to hang out or whatever, would be a tourist visa. But the problem is There's no appointments for that type of visa at this point at the consulate. So that is not something that's going to be happening anytime soon. So now, if he is trying to get a work permit and come into the US, like getting a visa, right? Like an H1, or maybe he qualifies for an L1 or an O1 or something like that, then he needs somebody in the US to sponsor him. And then he can, get an approval and try to get an appointment at the consulate. There are very limited what's called emergency appointments. So he'd try to make a regular appointment and then try to show them that there's an emergent need for him to be in the US. He could try to do that. But I'm honestly telling you right now, it is a difficult situation on the ground. There are hundreds and hundreds of people sitting in India who are been stuck there, who are not able to get out because they can't get a consulate appointment, or they're not able to bypass that travel ban because I get conversations where people are like, oh, well, if they have the visa, just go quarantine somewhere else. But do you know how expensive that might be for somebody to go to the Maldives for 14 days? And like that wipes out people. That's just not an option that can happen for everyone. So for your friend, I kind of say stay put. I don't think the US is the destination to come right
Do you
now.
feel like he should just stay there for maybe a little bit longer and then maybe apply for a visa next year?
Yeah, I hope by the grace of God we are in a different situation a year from now. That COVID numbers throughout the world have reduced, which will allow the United States to hopefully ease up on these travel bans. And I think then we might be in a better situation. I just don't see anything changing, definitely for 21. I am praying for things to be different, maybe by mid summer, something like that. Hopefully the vaccination rates go up everywhere. And then finally, this administration will start lifting and easing some of these travel bans. Remember, the travel ban for Europe was issued in April 2020, still not lifted. Still not lifted. So, and India is way behind, right? I don't even know what their vaccination rate is at this point. I think it's at 7% from last time I remember. So, and Europe is at like 60 something, and they still have not lifted the travel ban.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
answering my question.
Thank
And
you.
you have a wonderful evening.
Thank
You
you.
too. You too.
It's so sad to see people in such a dilemma. What should they do and what they should not? They don't understand because they're so confused state of mind
Yeah.
and they're not able to take the decision. Sometimes it's really sad.
Yeah.
And of course, it really upsets me sometimes. Like people are really, they look forward to meet their relatives, their own people. They are not able to, and from years, like it's been a long time. I feel
Mhm.
2 years is looking like 20 years. That's what I feel.
No,
Yeah,
it is. My cousin got married a year ago
yeah.
and sponsored his wife, and yet nothing. Like they haven't even got the interview call yet, and it's probably, yeah, I want to say it's at least 15 months since the wedding, and they have not been able to see each other, nothing, and it's a very difficult situation for them. So I understand that. Like on a personal level, I completely understand that because you're married, you're newly married, and he spent 2 weeks there, got married, and
Right.
then he had to come back, and that's
True.
it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very saddening situation. So, Nandini, any more tips you would like to give to our viewers for the information?
Um, I really want to advise all of your viewers that I truly understand you're not able to see your family and you might be missing on certain things and certain situations you want to go back. But if you can avoid traveling, please try to avoid it. The consulates are working so poorly at this point. If you travel and it's not for an emergency reason, I want you to be mentally and emotionally and financially ready to be stuck in India for several months. Like you have to walk in knowing all of those type of risks. So please don't take any unnecessary trips if you can avoid it. Um, if you have to go, of course, I understand there's emergencies. And I always tell people, like, you know what? This is just a job. This is something, whatever. If you have some death or something like that, of course, go, because you don't want to live in that regret ever, you know. But you have to go with knowledge. You have to go with understanding, and you have to be prepared for what could come, and just have to tolerate that. The other tips is that, you know, making sure that, you know, if you're a green card holder, you are maintaining your ties to the United States, you know, like you're paying your taxes, you're still having your credit cards, you're still doing things. So even when you are looking to get back here, you can stand in front of that officer and say, I never meant to abandon my green card. Life circumstances forced me not to be able to come back to the US. But look at me. Here's my tax returns. Here's my credit card bills. Here's the mortgage I'm still paying.
Yeah.
Why would I still do all of this if I wanted to abandon my green card? Like, don't forget to take care of all of those type of things
Yeah.
and think about the future.
Awesome. So, how can people connect with you, Nandini, if they want to take some advice from you?
Well, they can always reach me via email. My email is nandini.nair@g as in Greg, M as in Mary, law.com. They can Google me. I come up. They can message me on LinkedIn. I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. It's Nandini Nair on LinkedIn if you're a professional, but you can definitely email me. I try to be fair, and if I see something that's an emergency question, even if I don't know you, I will try to respond and stuff like that. And I'm pretty easygoing with that, you know.
Thank you so much, Nandini. You are a wonderful person, and it was great talking to you. और आज हमारे viewers को बहुत information मिली होगी. So I know you all must be feeling so relaxed. And of course, Nandini is always there to help you all. So feel free to connect with her. So thank you, Nandini. It was great talking to you, and thank you, Surya.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you
It
so
was
much for
very
coming to the
nice.
show. It was great meeting you and talking to you today. I feel like I learned a lot.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm always here to teach.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, viewer. And we'll be back soon with Nandini in our next episode with face to face. Of course, I know we need her always. Thank you, Nandini.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.